there's always been some kind of magic to me about Meg Ryan. I don't know. She seemed to portray a all-American kind of hometown girl likeness that I don't know. It just really kind of stood out to me. However, over the past few years or so, she's kind of changed and gone away from that. And I don't know, maybe that's a part of getting older, growing up, or whatever. But the three movies that I really love seeing her in were Sleepless in Seattle, When Harry Met Sally, and You've Got Mail. And of course, she did some other movies that I like, but at the moment I can't really think of the name of those. Wow, what can I say about Harrison Ford? His career has gone from way back when American Graffiti uh, was filmed. I don't know. I think I was still in high school back then. And of course, he went into the Star Wars movies and then Indiana Jones, and just created an awesome number of movies along his career. And I have to say that one of my favorite Harrison Ford movies is Air Force One, and I suppose that's probably because I spent a number of years in the Air Force and Air Force Reserve. But it's a very good movie. Certain things about it, aren't particularly reality, but overall, I think he portrayed himself as being a great former fighter pilot, and his character as a president in that movie. So I just thought that was really a good movie, and like I said, he's made many that have been just as good, and I don't know whether he's breaking away from his movie career now, but he's been fantastic. Bruce Willis is another favorite of mine, going back to his first Die Hard movie. I really enjoyed that because I have to say this: I love seeing terrorists get what they deserve, and I'm sure a lot of other people feel the same way as I do. Anyway, Bruce has done some pretty good action-packed movies. I had heard that when they were beginning to finalize the Die Hard movie and began marketing it, because I guess the first movie Bruce ever made it didn't do very well. It was kind of one of those movies that more or less flopped. So I believe the movie studio decided, well, we don't want to market this with Bruce Willis as the lead character, because if they saw the other movie and they didn't like him in that, they might automatically just stay away from seeing Die Hard. So anyway, they marketed it without his name on it, and of course it was a very successful movie, and it's probably one of the very best movies, as far as I'm concerned, that he's ever made. And so anyway, that's a little bit of trivia about what I know about the Die Hard movies. And but Bruce's career spanned a long time too. I mean, back in the '70s, he was on TV, and he's come a long way since then. I would like to mention that in my own personal mind, my own personal thoughts, I think the Academy Awards has done an injustice for not identifying Bruce Willis, because I don't know whether he's even been nominated for anything in the past, but I think he has a lot more potential for what the Academy should be looking at as far as giving out their awards, because I think Bruce Willis deserves an Academy Award one of these days, and I sure hope that one day he gets one. Okay, speaking of Academy Awards, there's no way I could pass up on Tom Hanks. Okay, I'd already mentioned that I liked Meg Ryan in Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail. Well, those two movies wouldn't have been as great as of a success without Tom Hanks. And also, Tom Hanks, he was so great portraying Forrest Gump, and I really loved that movie. And in addition, Tom has went on. He's made so many other good movies. Apollo 11, or not 11. Excuse me, Apollo 13, where he plays Jim Lovell, and they're coming back, after the problem with Apollo 13, and just the awesome job that he did in that movie with Ron Howard directing that. And then, of course, his cast of characters that were with him, that was just a phenomenal movie. And I know Tom's done some other great movies as well. Recently, I don't know, maybe I'm out of track with going to the movies, but I just haven't seen too many movies lately where anybody's really inspired me. And I don't know whether Tom Hanks is out there really making anything right now. Julia Roberts, she's another one of those women that she kind of appeals to me with a kind of a cutesy, maybe not so glamorous appearance on film, but I've really enjoyed her over the years, and I know she won an Academy Award for Erin Brockovich. I think there have been a few other movies that she's been really good in, and I do have to say Erin Brockovich it wasn't really a comedy. It was a little bit different than that, even though there was a little bit of humor in that. But I really think Julia Roberts, she is a very funny woman, and I think one of the best women out there that plays comedy roles. And so, I really like seeing her in some of the comedies that she plays in. Wow, Clint Eastwood. Gosh, I remember when he was on TV in Rawhide years and years ago, and then he went on to make those spaghetti westerns, and then, of course, the Dirty Harry movies, and other westerns, and then he made some of those movies with the orangutan, Every Which Way But Loose, and Any Which Way You Can. And just think of all the lines that have come out of some of his movies that people have used over the years. I mean, I think I remember hearing Ronald Reagan using that line, "Go ahead, make my day." And then when Any Which Way But Loose was first seen, I remember a lot of people using that term right turn Clyde, and that kind of stuck with you. And of course, there have been many lines that he's used in even more recent movies that are kind of catchy that people use. So, but anyway, he has been phenomenal, and just about everything that he's ever done. I can't recall Clint Eastwood ever doing a really bad movie. I mean, there are some great actors out there that sometimes tend to do a movie that just isn't that great. I just don't remember Clint Eastwood ever being involved in anything that didn't turn out to be, more at least mediocre. And I believe everything he's done has been pretty much high rate. Nanu, hey, it's Mork from Mork, Robin Williams. Robin goes back to the, I think that was back in the mid to late 70s when he started portraying Mork from Mork with Pam Dauber on TV. And of course he was into comedy way before that. And Mork and Mindy really got his career going, and I heard stories where he would be on the set, and I think they were filming that live if I remember right, and he would just kind of go off script and start making jokes about certain things, and of course they let him go with it because he was hilarious in Mork and Mindy. And he's made a lot of good movies. I mean, I remember Popeye with Disney was his very first movie, and he did a very good job in that, portraying the Popeye character. Of course, I grew up as a kid watching the Popeye cartoons, so that was something that I really liked. He's made not only a number of comedies, but he's also done more serious roles, and I'm I can't remember whether he's won one or two Academy Awards, but he has done some really good work, and I remember back when he was in the movie with I believe it was Matt Damon, Good Will Hunting. He played an outstanding part in that movie. And there was another movie that he made where I can't remember the name of it, but he portrayed it being a robot. And I saw that, and I just couldn't believe how great of a character role that he made that into. I mean, that was sensational. So anyway, Robin Williams, he gets my vote for being one of the best comedy actors ever that has been able to come out of comedy and really portray himself as more than that. It's kind of like Tom Hanks has done, coming out of comedy and being able to portray himself in different roles. Wow, Gene Hackman, what a great career he's had as well. I mean, if you go all the way back to I think one of his very first movies where he started getting noticed was when he was making Bonnie and Clyde. He was a supporting role actor in that, and with gosh, who was in that? Faye Dunaway and I just can't remember his name that played Clyde. Anyway, I'm sure people that are watching this really know. But anyway, Gene Hackman, he first came about, I guess his first big role was in The French Connection, which I don't know if this picture is the one, but I know that kind of looks like where he played Popeye Doyle in The French Connection. And then of course he went on from that, and he made some of those Superman movies where he played Lex Luthor. That was good. He's made some great comedies. He's made some great thrillers, some great criminal type shows, some good war movies. This guy has just been all over the place. And then plus, he's made westerns with Clint Eastwood. He portrayed himself as a president in a Clint Eastwood movie. I know him and Eastwood must be pretty good friends because they have been in several movies together. But anyway, I really think Gene Hackman is one of the best all-time actors. And I do have to tell you, I mean, this might surprise you, but my all-time favorite Gene Hackman movie really is one of those movies that not too many people probably recognize. It's called Narrow Margin. It's where he goes up into Canada and finds a woman that's I guess it's the mob that's after her. They're trying to track her down and kill her. He hides her on a train, and then they're on there on the train trying to track her down, and But anyway, if you've never seen Narrow Margin with Gene Hackman, I think you should go out and rent that. That is a sensational movie, and one other thing in it is out of that entire movie, Gene Hackman is probably in maybe 90 to 95% of the shots that they made in that movie, which I'm sure that takes a lot from a character to do that, or for an actor to do that, because when you're on screen so much of the time that's you're being portrayed, that it's hard. It may be hard for you to keep in line with what's really supposed to be going on. But anyway, I just love that movie. I mean, what more can I say? I could ramble on about that for probably hours. Okay, Denzel Washington is another favorite actor of mine, and the the movie that he made that I thought he acted the very best of what I've ever seen him was when he played in The Hurricane, which is where he portrayed Reuben Hurricane Carter, who had been a fighter in his younger days, boxer, and he gets arrested and he gets put away in prison for several years for committing some murders which he didn't really have anything to do with. And so anyway, it's a very, very, very good movie where he plays that character so well. Where it, you could see the emotion kind of just burning out of him, where he's portraying Reuben Carter in a way that he gets so emotional about he's in prison for something that he didn't do, but yet people don't seem to really care. And then I guess it was this group of people, especially this one young man, that finds Reuben Carter's book and reads it and has such an interest in Reuben Carter that they decide they're going to help Reuben Carter to try and get out of prison. And so anyway, just a fabulous movie and a great story, and I just can't believe that Reuben Carter endured all those years in prison the way that he did. But I'm so very grateful that he did finally get out of there, and at least his story got told through the eyes and the character portrayal through Denzel Washington. What a fabulous movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, I'll tell you, I never really cared for Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was younger. I'll be honest. I didn't watch the Conan Barbarian movie he was in. I didn't know anything really about this guy until I happened to be at a friend's house one night, and they had cable TV on. And I think it was HBO or Cinemax, one of those movie channels, and the Terminator was on, and we were just sitting around talking, and I don't know. Anyway, I think we were kind of winding down with our discussion. We went into the living room, and that was on TV, and so we started watching the end of it, and I just, man, I have to tell you that movie just kind of frightened me because the way technology has advanced and everything. Of course, it's advanced even more since that movie was made. But I realized then that Arnold Schwarzenegger was an up-and-coming guy from that movie, especially with that line, "I'll be back." You could pretty much tell when you first saw that in that movie that was going to be something somebody would wind up using. So anyway, I'm kind of glad the governor is out of being governor of California now, and that he's going to get back into making movies. I don't know, if he'll continue doing that, but I will say that I've enjoyed quite a few of his movies. Kindergarten Cop, and Twins was kind of funny with Danny DeVito, and there's just been a number of other movies that he's made where he either plays a comedian or he plays a good guy, which I think is great. Terminator, he played more of a bad guy, and I'm glad that after they made the first Terminator, that when they made a second one, he came back and he was the good Terminator, helping the people out. And so anyway, for what Arnold Schwarzenegger has done in his career, not only in politics but in movies, it's just been something that, I don't know. I guess that's one of the reasons why I think he's a great actor, in my view. And I hope someday that he gets recognized more for what he's done in acting. Hopefully he'll win an Academy Award someday for something. Anyway, thank you for what you've done, Arnold, and thank you for trying to straighten this country out. Halle Berry. Okay, I've included Halle Berry here because, well, really, I do like her. I think she's very pretty, and I've seen some of her movies, and I think she's a very good actress. I I don't know too many other movies that I've seen other than just a couple. And I know one was like a psychological thriller, which I really enjoyed, and then the other one might have been that as kind of like that as well. But and she was in one of the James Bond movies too, and I kind of like that. So anyway, I think she's very glamorous, and I think she's a really good actress. So I included her here because I I have to admit I've got a lot of guys on here that are more like action adventure type roles, and so I only had a few women here. But anyway, Halle Berry, I think she does a good job of portraying different characters from what I've seen and heard. So anyway, I just enjoy her. Wow, Jack Nicholson. Now I remember Jack Nicholson from way back. I think it was 1975 when he made One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and there were so many different characters in that movie that came out of there that were a pretty big time. Danny DeVito was in that. Gosh, right now I can't recall, but I do know that I believe it was Michael Douglas that produced that movie, or else he put a lot of money up into it, and so if you haven't seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, you should go rent that, and even read the book, because there's a lot of similarities and some differences. But that's fantastic. Of course, everyone knows Jack Nicholson. He can play the really utmost worst character in the world. I mean, a real crazed person, like in The Shining, when he got a little crazy in that, or he goes and he does kind of like the opposite, where he can play a character that is really sympathetic to people and really great. Of course, comedy too. I mean, you don't see too many people. Well, I guess maybe Clint Eastwood, like I mentioned before, and maybe even Bruce Willis, that have done action, adventure, and comedy. But Jack has done so many different roles, and he's had some lines out there too that people pick up on and use. I just can't think of one right now, but anyway, Jack's just a great sensation, and I kind of admire that guy. I do understand that he had a kind of a bad childhood, I believe, but he came a long way, and I don't know anything about his personal life, but boy, is he a phenomenal actor, and one of the greatest we'll ever have. Okay, I've added Natalie Portman here because once again, I think this list deserves women, and Natalie, of course, she is very pretty. She goes back to a movie that I remember seeing. I can't even remember the name of it, but it's about where she lives next door in an apartment. She was a very young girl when she was in this movie. The guy that was in the movie, I believe he was French, and his character, he was a hitman, and so what happens is this bad cop and these other bad cops come to where this child character that Natalie portrayed come to their house, and they kill the entire family except Natalie. Natalie, I think her character had gone off to the store to buy groceries or something, and she comes back and she finds that her whole family is being murdered by these cops. And so anyway, this hitman, he doesn't really want to take her in, but he starts having feelings for her, and he takes her in and starts caring for her, and then they become good friends. Nothing weird. But anyway, she says she wants him to help her repay these bad cops for what they did to her family. So it's pretty interesting. And in the end, the bad cops get what they deserve, I guess. But and I'm not knocking cops, okay? But anyway, it's a very good movie as far as I'm concerned. I can't remember the name of it, but it's, if you go out and you look, her name wasn't that Natalie Portman in that movie. She changed her name later in her acting career. But I'm sure that if you went to one of the movie rental places or you even looked it up on the internet, you'd find what that movie is. The Professional or The Assassin or something like that. I just can't remember what it was called. So anyway, moving on. Okay, I want to round this list out by saying that yes, I realize that Andy Griffith and Don Knotts probably never were in a movie together. I don't really know for a fact, but I don't seem to recall that they were in a movie together. However, I think Andy Griffith and Don Knotts were two of the best actors of their days, and I just can't exclude them as being, you know, part of the Hollywood people that I've shown here, because they were part of Hollywood at the time. Now, going back, if you're like me, sometimes watching reruns of the old Andy Griffith show, you'll see Andy was the really good straight man, and Don Knotts was the sidekick, really funny comedian type deputy sheriff or deputy Barney Fife, and they just kind of their characters just kind of flowed together. It was really great. Now, I kind of advanced over time. When Andy Griffith started making Matlock back in the, I guess it was the mid '80s, I was overseas in England, and Matlock was one of the few shows that we could get over there that from the United States. Of course, there were a lot of British shows, but Matlock was one of those shows that I just enjoyed so much. And then, of course, I came back to the States and I watched Matlock every week. I loved it so much, and I will highly recommend to you, if you haven't seen Matlock, I believe it's season 3, episode 1, you'll love it. What happens is, okay, that's the first episode where Don Knotts makes an appearance on Matlock, and he appears on there. His character has bought the house next door to Matlock's house, and they get to know each other. And on Matlock, Don Knotts' name, I believe, is Les. Anyway, in that first episode there, Les goes and buys the sports car, which I think was a DeLorean, and it has all kinds of problems. It was just really funny. And it kind of goes back to an episode that they did similar to that when they did Andy Griffith, where Barney bought a car and then Andy had to go back and, you know, get him out of that. But in this, Les is charged for the murder of the guy he bought the car from. So anyway, if you watch that, okay, I know I gave away the main part of it, but if you were to get that and watch it, you would love it. I mean, it's so. I thought it was so funny, and I just love the way Andy Griffith portrays Matlock, and so I could sit and watch Matlock days and days on end with, you know, just not having to change the DVDs that I have. I mean, I've got I think I have the first 5 seasons of Matlock. So anyway, I pop those DVDs in and watch them one after the other. I just love Matlock, and so another Matlock episode that I love is the very first. I think it's from the pilot movie, which started Matlock. The first time you see Matlock in the courtroom, I believe, he's in there and he's defending this guy who the prosecution has said that he murdered this guy. They've never found the body. They never found a murder weapon. They don't even know if the guy's dead. They just don't know where the guy's at, I guess. And so anyway, Matlock's standing up there and he's addressing the jury, and he says, and so to make this short, because I know that we'd all like to get out of here, he said, by the time I count to 10, the decedent that you all believe that my client killed is going to walk through that back door. So anyway, he starts counting to 10, and he gets up to about 8, and everybody's turned their head and they're looking towards the back door of the courtroom. And then when he gets to 10, of course, the door doesn't open, nobody walks in or anything, and then everybody turns around and they look at Matlock again, and then Matlock's once again addressing the jury. So he says, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as you can see, there's reasonable doubt because each one of you was looking at that door, and everyone else in this courtroom was as well, including them, which he's pointing at the prosecutors. So then, of course, they had to go along with it and say, yeah, reasonable doubt, not guilty. So I just thought that was kind of good. That probably never happens in a courtroom, but you know, it added a little drama to that, and of course it got Matlock going on the way to the I believe it was 9 seasons that they did. So anyway, that wraps up my list of favorite actors and actresses, and you can, if you want to, you can leave me comments on here or whatever if you agree or disagree with me, but you know, it's not going to change my mind. These are the people that I like the most, and like I said, there are others that I would add to this, but you know, I could probably go on and add a lot more. You know, I like Jerry Lewis, Dean Martin, Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, a lot of the old film things. You know, I could go back to Boris Karloff and some of the older movies that I grew up with. But anyway, out of all the people, I believe probably out of this whole list here, the only person that, to my knowledge, that has passed away is Don Knotts. And so, but you know, his comedy lives on in the eyes of all of us, and I hope that you'll continue watching Don Knotts and Andy Griffith, and just be amazed by all these other sensational actors and actresses. Hey, this is Rick, and I know I've talked a lot, so anyway, have a very fun and exciting day. Thanks for watching. Bye.